Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome back to another video. So I hope you've all been doing really well over the past few weeks. Lots has been going on at the house. As you can probably see behind me, it looks completely different. The lighting here as well isn't great because the windows behind me are all covered up, because as you can probably tell, oh, I've gone completely out of focus. We had the first mist coat put on the walls yesterday, so we've just had one thin coat of white sprayed onto the walls. We're really lucky. One of like our family members has a sort of like spray gun thing that he could borrow from work, so that saved us a massive job of painting all of this ourselves. So yeah, it's looking a lot better. If you've seen my last video, you'll have seen what it was looking like. Obviously the plasterboard went on last week and it was all plastered. That all finished, I think it was like the middle of last week. So we left the plaster to dry for over a week, and I thought that would be more than enough time, but there is still some walls and some patches that weren't dry. I don't know whether you can see behind me, there's still a couple of walls that we had to leave basically just because they were quite wet and I didn't really want to put any paint or anything on them. So my brother-in-law is going to come back next week once those walls have dried and give them a first mist coat as well. And then once this coat has all dried and everything, he'll come back and do a second coat. Probably only need two, to be honest, because we will obviously paint this an actual colour in the future once like we get to the decorating stage, but for now this is just to see us through for the next, I don't know, few months, years possibly. But obviously it would have taken a really long time for us to have painted all of this, like ceilings and everything, so it literally took like a couple of hours to sort of tape everywhere up and just spray it. By the way, I'm really disappointed this morning because I went to the shop near us and they've got a little Costa machine and I haven't used it until yesterday. It was the first time I actually used it, and had like all different types of coffees. I had festive coffees, mochas, hot chocolates, different syrups, like loads of stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna come here every morning. So I've deliberately gone to the shop this morning before coming to the house thinking I'm gonna get a nice coffee with some gingerbread syrup. And the machine, it wasn't broken, but it had like two things. You could only get a black Americano or something, like little shots of espresso, I think it was. So that was disappointing. So I've got a cold caramel frappuccino, which is nice, but I wanted something nice and warm. But yeah, anyway, I'll give you a quick look at all of the extension and how it looks now. Louie's been putting some of the like plug sockets on as well, so some of those are actually in place. It's a little bit of a mess in here because obviously we had to do a little bit of moving around to like clear some of the spaces for it to be painted yesterday. So we are going to have to move some things upstairs, I think. We've got all of our flooring, which there's a lot of it. I think there's probably over 50 packs of flooring because we're just doing all of downstairs in the same floor, which hopefully will be getting laid before Christmas. But we need the floor sort of like screeding, basically like leveling. So the builder's going to come back and do that. He said he might have a couple of days next week to fit us in to get that done, because what we realised yesterday when the walls were being sprayed, it was kicking up all the dust off the floor because like the spray gun is quite powerful, so every time it sort of like hit the floor or like at the bottom of the wall, the dust was just all over the place. So ideally for the second coat of paint, we're going to do that after the floor's been screeded, so there's not as much dust basically, because I'm going to have to go around and just sand any bits of the walls that are a little bit rough or that you can see like bits of dust that have clung to the paint. So yeah, hopefully it'll work out in that order. I'm praying that the builder does have some time. Next week would be ideal because once that's done, that just frees us up to like get everything else done as soon as we can. I think we're probably going to wait until the second coat is done, or we're at least going to do a second coat of paint behind where any of the radiators will be put on, if that makes sense, and then we can just put the radiators on. And even if we need to spray the rest of the walls after the radiators have been put on, we'll just have to cover them up. But some of the radiators are sort of like my column radiators, and you can see through them, so I want the paint to obviously be on the walls behind them, otherwise we're just gonna have to take radiators back off to paint again and stuff like that. So yeah, that's sort of the plan. My brother-in-law is coming back on Friday next week to just go over these few walls that's still a little bit wet. He'll probably then do the second coat behind where the radiators are, like I've just said, and then he'll come back in a couple of weeks' time and do everywhere else a second time, if that makes sense. So this is how the room is currently looking. So there was actually quite a few walls that weren't dry. This was the worst one, because this must have been one of the last walls that he did. So even up to like Wednesday last week, we knew that this was getting painted on Saturday. So when it got to Wednesday and this wall was still completely wet, I said to Louis, I think we're going to have to come to the house every day or whenever we can and open all of the doors, maybe put some heaters on, just get a bit of like airflow, because obviously there's no heating or anything in here. So it was just left to dry for over a week, but there was no sort of like ventilation or like proper airflow or anything, basically just to like get it to dry quicker. So you can obviously just see some of the patches where it's still wet. This bit here was still wet, but this is where one of the column radiators are going. So I said to him yesterday, just spray that bit that's dry and leave that bit, and we'll do that when he comes back. So yeah, that wall is still drying just a little bit. It's almost dry. And then in the utility, we've got this wall and this wall miscoated. This one is still quite wet, and this one here as well is still quite wet. So I'm just gonna open all of the doors. I'll open the bifold doors and everything. But we've got another week now until he comes back to paint it. So I'll just make sure that for the next week, whenever we are at the house or if Louis here working, we'll just have to have all of the doors and the windows open, basically, just to make sure that it does dry out nicely. This room was all dry, which is strange because this is the one room that's like sort of fully closed off. There's no light or anything that gets in here. But that's all done. And this room at the front of the house, this is all done as well, but obviously this was the room that we were storing most of our things, so it was a little bit awkward for him to paint. So we just need to have a little bit of a clear up as much as possible of just anything that we can, basically we'll take upstairs. But yeah, maybe some of like the bigger things like our flooring, that would be quite a big job to carry all of that upstairs, to then just have to carry it all back down. But yeah, all of this is done, all the ceilings are done, which is what I was most excited about, because originally we did say that column over there is still wet as well, that's why that's not done. But we did say if he just sprayed all of the bits that were dry, then I would go over afterwards just with a paintbrush, a roller, whatever, and just touch up any bits that weren't quite dry yet and just do them sort of later on. But what he was saying was, because obviously it's like a spray gun sort of thing that he uses, it goes on very, very smoothly, basically, whereas obviously when you're like roller, you get a little bit of that texture just off the roller. So he was saying you will be able to see, you know, if you do one bit of the wall with a roller and one bit with the spray gun, you're going to be able to see the difference in texture on the wall. So that's why we've decided to sort of do it in bits like this. But yeah, there are our plug sockets as well, so we need to obviously tape all around these, and we'll neaten all of these up. But these are my antique brass plug sockets. There is some over there as well, but they're already taped up. So yeah, it's definitely looking a million times better than it was a couple of weeks ago. I've put our fireplace here. This is our electric fireplace, just as a bit of an example, because basically when the actual build was happening, I didn't want this sort of column to be in the room, because I knew that I wanted a log burner right in the middle of this wall, and it was just unfortunate that like that's where that was going to be. So this column is basically just a brick column, but it holds the steel beam, so we had to have this brick bit structurally to hold up the rest of the house basically. But on the plans it was outside, so the beam should have been made to be a little bit longer so that we didn't need this in the room, but basically that didn't happen, and the builder gave the measurements, ordered the steel beam, and it wasn't long enough basically. So unfortunately this was something that shouldn't have been here, but it is, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So I'm still determined to have a log burner in front of this if I can. Obviously I'm not 100% sure in terms of the flue what would happen, because the flue would have to go out of the wall and up the side of the house. So I'm sort of hoping that we can take the flue around the side of here and out that wall. But that's a problem for the future, because we won't be getting this log burner for a long time yet. But the situation basically is that it's going to have to sit in front of this column basically, so it's going to be sat quite a bit further forward than it would have obviously if this wasn't here. But yeah, that's just why that fireplace is there, just to give a bit of an idea. But I'm going to do a full sort of built-in feature wall on this wall anyways, so this will obviously be built like a chimney breast wall, a false chimney breast basically. So this column will all be boxed in. And then on the other two sides, I think I'm going to do sort of just shelving and nice lighting and things like that. So this will all be completely different once it's fully done anyway. But obviously things like that are quite a while off, because we've got a million other things that need doing first. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's just a little bit of an update of where we're at basically. Louis should be coming to the house after he's finished playing football, and I think we were possibly going to try and get our bedroom a little bit more organised, a little bit more set up. Our bed currently it's not dismantled, but it's like stood up against the wall, and so is our mattress. So the bed at the moment, so the headboard and the mattress are in this room, which is basically just a storage room. We need to carry quite a few things upstairs, like I was saying, just to sort of clear as much floor space as we can downstairs, ready for it to be levelled. So a lot of things are going to have to come into here, and obviously we don't want to sort of box the bed in and not be able to get access to them, because we need a bed to live here basically. And I'm definitely hoping to be moved in before Christmas, I'm going to say, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but we'll just see how we go. But yeah, I think we're sort of going to just try and sort this room a little bit. This is obviously the base of the bed, and this is just sort of like chest of drawers, bedside tables, our TV and everything is under there, just covered with this sheet. So yeah, I think if we just have a bit of a clean up in here, I think I'll bring the hoover up and give everywhere a hoover, and then maybe just put the bed back down, bring the mattress back in, and just start to get this a little bit more put together. It's unfortunate that we still don't have a boiler or hot water or anything, so I can't properly scrub everything, which I'm so excited to do. As soon as we've got hot water, I'm obviously just going to go around and clean everywhere, but we've only got cold water at the moment, so it's probably pointless me doing that. So I'm not really going to be able to clean in here as much as I would like to, but yeah, I think we're just going to sort of see what we can do, maybe move some things around and just try and make a little bit of progress. We still need to get this wall tiled in the bathroom. So as you can see, this still isn't dry either. I've got this window open, but yeah, this still needs tiling at some point. But yeah, that's the plan basically. So I'll pick you back up a little bit later on and just show you what we're getting up to. Back in your favourite place.
Yes. Muddy as hell.
What we getting? Explain quickly.
Plywood. Is it open? Yeah. Plywood to go on top of the floorboards.
Yeah.
For all the self-leveling.
Well, explain properly when we get back to the house, but the builder's just been round basically and they're coming to level all the floor tomorrow, so
I've got loads of work to do on a Sunday afternoon.
So lots has happened in a couple of hours, well, sort of happened. So the builders have been back round and they're coming to level all of this floor tomorrow. So we basically need to empty the house. Yeah, all of this under here, which is like radiators, flooring, loads of stuff under there, so that all of this floor can be levelled. We've just been and got some plywood to go on this bit, so that obviously that's floorboards and the rest is concrete, just so that it's all the same level. And what else? I feel like there was something else. Oh, we need to pull this floor up, so like you can just see a tiny little bit of like the edge of what used to be the kitchen floor. And Louis started pulling this up a few weeks ago, and I told him not to bother because I thought that the like screed would just go over the top of it, but they said it needs to be the actual concrete, so all of this needs pulling up as well before tomorrow morning. It's about 3 o'clock I think on Sunday, and they're coming at 9 o'clock tomorrow, so we've got a busy night ahead of us. But yeah, I'm just going to start sweeping in here because they're not levelling in here, because this is all just the existing floorboard, so we can store things in here for now, like our flooring and stuff, and then some bits we'll probably just have to take upstairs, I think, if we can. But I'm going to start by sweeping this.
The bedroom.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
Well, we'll just move the bed just so that the things are in the bedroom, and then we'll deal with that later. Yeah. What are you doing then? Moving stuff?
Well, we're going to sweep in there first, it's all half decent.
Yeah. And then we'll just start moving. I don't know, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it's about 6:30, I think. We're just sweeping up everywhere. All of this is now clear. All the flooring is up, the old kitchen floor. All in here is empty, apart from the like self-leveling compound stuff.
Show them your knee pads. So Neve has been very busy on her hands and knees, haven't you?
Yeah.
She said it's the new style.
I've got a bath as well.
Oh no, massage is pending. Well, she thinks there is. I don't think so.
Yeah, so last sweep up, I think that's it, isn't it? Once we've swept everywhere.
Yeah.
Done. Ready for
screen floor.
screed. I think it's, I don't know whether it's actually the same thing. It's like self-leveling compound. I don't know whether that's what screed is. I think it is.
I've seen videos in the bathroom where they look like.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Obviously it just self-levels, so we've got our plywood that'll go on this bit, because obviously this is floorboards, this is concrete, so they'll put the plywood down and then just level the rest of the floor to like match the plywood. But all of the stuff's basically gone in the utility, because this was all floorboards anyway, so they're not leveling in there. We might put some plywood down afterwards so that this is the same level as this, but this is the most important thing for now. So yeah, flooring tomorrow, paint Friday, then radiators can go on.
In a week, all the electric set fixture in a week. I'll see how far I get.
Oh, you've gone out of focus. Yeah, electrics, plumbing, flooring, tiling in the bathroom. Oh, you've gone completely out of focus.
More blend.
Yeah.
See me now.
Right, my camera's gonna go dead.
Right. In a bit.
Bye. Good afternoon. It's now the next day and it's about 1:30 and the floor is all level. The builders have just left. So they actually didn't end up, they said they were going to be here at 9 o'clock and they didn't come until, I think it was about 10:30, 11:15. I thought they weren't going to turn up and I was ready to like scream, but they've came and it's all done. It only took them a couple of hours actually. I did have to go and get some more self-leveling compound. But yeah, it's done anyway, so I'll give you a quick look at it, but obviously I can't walk on it or anything, so there's only so much that I can actually show you. So see if it's going to focus. There we go. This is what it looks like. I can only sort of walk to here, but I think it's starting to dry over there obviously because the door's open, but they did say that it would be dry sort of by like tonight, sort of after work this afternoon. So it must dry quite quickly, but we'll probably leave it tonight maybe before like walking on it or anything, just to be on the safe side. But by tomorrow it should definitely be all dry. So this section over here, they didn't actually put the plywood on for us, but we've got some plywood around there, so these bits of wood around the edge just need taken up. They were obviously just to stop the leveling stuff, the like liquid, and then Louis will just lay the plywood, I think. So yeah, this is another job that we've waited a long time for, and a job that just needed to be done in order for us to sort of like make a bit of progress and get some other things done as well. So yeah, I'll pick you up maybe tomorrow and show you how it all looks once it's dry. It's been a couple of days. I thought I'd just do a quick update. I apologise if these videos are just really like jumpy from one day to the next, but that is just reality. That's how our life is. But yeah, nothing much has happened over the past couple of days. I'll show you how the floor's looking. It looks a little bit of a mess, to be honest, but it's dry and it's level, so that's all that really matters. There is actually a little section of it though that's like crumbling. I'll show you that. Nothing is ever straightforward. There's always an issue with something. But yeah, I thought I'd just do a little update here because hopefully we should be getting the second coat of paint. Well, I say that, hopefully we should be getting these walls that haven't had anything on them yet. They should be getting their first mist coat tomorrow, fingers crossed. But obviously, as you can see, there's still some patches that are wet basically in the plaster, which is why I'm here now. I was here all day yesterday and all day today. It's absolutely freezing. So there's two walls in here that haven't been painted, this one and this one around the door. I've currently got this, I don't know whether you can see it there, that tiny little heater there. I had it facing this wall yesterday and this is a little bit drier than it was yesterday, but I've put the heater in here this morning just to try and dry those two walls, and then I'm going to move the heater maybe in a couple of hours and I'll just put it on the floor down here and hope that this dries by tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully the plan is to mist coat this wall, those two in the utility, that one there and just that little column there tomorrow hopefully, and then on Sunday, so the day after, hopefully we can get the second coat on all of the walls, and then we should be ready to go and just get the second fix, plumbing and electrics. Hopefully our plumber is available next week to crack on with that. Same with Louis. He's been a little bit busy this week because his mum is actually getting her kitchen done, so we have no kitchen at Louis' mum's either at the moment. She's actually gone on holiday for a week, so yeah, there's just been lots of things going on at Louis' mum's and our house has had to just sort of take a bit of a back seat, but hopefully things should happen this weekend. This is the bit of the floor that I was saying is like sort of all crumbling. I don't really want to like press on it too much. I don't know why it's doing that, but this is what the floor looks like basically. Doesn't look as satisfying as I thought it was going to. I thought it'd be like all a dark grey colour, but it is what it is. As long as it's level, I'm not really bothered. I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue and that the underlay can just cover all of this, but we'll see. I'm thinking as well, this was a suggestion that Louis made a couple of weeks ago, and I think he actually probably is right, that we should maybe turn this front room of the extension here into our temporary living room, because the current living room is a mess, to say the least. Like, that is an understatement. This is our fridge. You can't even really see everything, but our sofa, our dining table, all sorts is underneath here. But obviously we haven't been able to get the other walls and the ceiling and stuff plastered in here, so I don't know whether you can see there. There's lots of walls chased. There's just a big hole in the fireplace where we pulled the back boiler out, so this room isn't very nice basically. So what Louis suggested was to just put our sofa and TV and stuff in here, because obviously in a couple of weeks time we will be laying all of the floor, so everywhere, every room downstairs will have the same flooring just running throughout. Obviously the second coat of paint will be on the walls, so this should be just quite a nice little cosy room. Hopefully I can put a curtain pole up there and just hang some curtains over the window for now. But yeah, I'm thinking corner sofa here. We do also have a love seat which would go there, but I don't know whether to do Christmas tree like in front of the window. I do love the idea of that, or I can do the Christmas tree in this corner here, and then sort of TV on. We've just got like a sideboard. I don't really want to put the TV onto the wall because obviously it won't be staying here permanently, so I don't want to drill holes and stuff in my freshly plastered and painted walls. But yeah, I think that might be an idea, because then that obviously means that we can completely clear the other living room and we can just work away at that, because the fireplace needs a little bit of work. Hopefully we can maybe look at getting that plastered, so if we can keep that empty, then that'll just make life a lot easier. So hopefully we can create a nice little cozy Christmassy room in here. I'm praying that I'll get my Christmas tree up in the next few weeks, or just before Christmas. That's all I ask. Yeah, I think that is the only real update that I've got for today. But what I am going to do now, I've just finished work, it's Friday afternoon, I finish early on a Friday, which is lovely, but I need to basically go around and masking tape all of the plug sockets. I need to do around all of the windows and the bifold doors, the utility door. We're going to have to empty all of this utility tonight, ready for this to be painted, because obviously it's that wall and then it's this wall here that need painting, and obviously at the moment we can't even really get into that room, so unfortunately we're going to have to move all of this, which we've just moved last weekend. We put all of that in here. We're going to have to take all of this back out, and then I can properly access the door. I have started masking taping some of it, but yeah, I think I'll just do what I can, and yeah, just see how I get on, and I'll pick you up probably tomorrow once these walls have had a mist coat. Morning everyone, let me put my bag down. I've literally just got to the house. By the way, ignore the horrendous makeup stains on this coat. Oh my god, what a bloody week. I feel like I could say that about every week for the past like 2 months. You're on a really bad angle there as well. I don't really know where to set you up. So the last time I picked you up was last week, I think. And we were getting ready for everywhere to have, well, for the walls that hadn't had a mist coat, we were doing a mist coat on there. And then we were doing the second coat everywhere the next day, or so we thought. So my brother-in-law came on Saturday last week, and he did mist coat the walls that hadn't been done. So as you can see here, it was that one, this bit here. So everywhere is now white. Everywhere has had one coat. So we basically, I don't even know where to start or what to say. This wall here, we did end up putting a mist coat on, but I was desperately trying to get it dry before we put the coat on. But I think we've basically rushed putting the paint on, which was always I don't know, sort of a possibility. We knew that the plaster wasn't 100% fully dry in all areas. It wasn't as dry as I wanted it to be, but I genuinely thought that it would only take maybe a week maximum to dry, and we gave it over a week. I think really if we'd have just left it and let it dry fully, it wouldn't be dry now. I think it needed quite a few weeks and obviously just because there's no heat or anything in here, so yeah, really we should have left it longer, let it fully dry out, and then done a proper mist coat. We did do a proper mist coat. We watered down the paint quite a lot, but the reason that we rushed it really was because it was the best time for us to spray all of the walls when there's nothing else in here. The flooring isn't down, the radiators weren't on. It was the perfect time to just get everywhere painted, so we just sort of went with it, and luckily we didn't have to buy the paint, we didn't have to like pay for it to be done or anything. Obviously we're really lucky my brother-in-law could do it for us, so we were sort of looking at it as in if anything goes wrong, we sort of haven't lost anything. But basically when he came back to do the second coat, we were just sort of going around and having a look at some of the walls, seeing how the paint had like taken, and in some areas, mainly like around the window or wherever there's a little bit of moisture, but it's basically all started like chipping and peeling off. I think around here is probably the worst because it's not actually too bad today because it's quite warm outside, but for the past few weeks at least, the condensation is ridiculous every day because obviously there is just no heat or anything in here. It's very, very cold in here. And yeah, I think that's obviously meant that around the windows, around the door and things like that are just like naturally a bit more damp because there is so much condensation. So we were just sort of going around and just, yeah, looking at everywhere. This wall over here, you can see a little bit where I've literally just like scratched. If you just run your nails down it there, it's just peeling off this paint. But this wall wasn't 100% dry when we put the mist coat on. So I'm not really surprised that that's happening. So to cut a long story short, we basically decided to leave the second coat and just get the radiators on, get some heat in here, see what happens. I'm gonna have to go around and just check every wall because there's some walls that are absolutely fine. If the paint's taken perfectly, it's stuck on there, it's not peeling off or crumbling off or anything, but then there's just some other walls where it is. So I'm just gonna have to go around any areas that it is sort of coming off, like that wall for example that I've just showed you there. I think I'm not gonna touch it for now because I think the plaster is probably still damp underneath the paint, so I'm gonna wait for the heating to be all sorted and on, let it dry out for a bit. I'm gonna have to sand all of that paint off basically. Same with like around the window, any areas where the paint hasn't taken or it's peeling or anything, I'm gonna have to sand it back so that it's nice and flush, and then we will just sort of try again. So yeah, that's where we're at with the paint situation basically. So everywhere's had one coat, so I suppose it's looking better than it would have if it was just the plaster, and yeah, we'll just deal with that another time. There's too much going on and too much to think about and stress about and worry about. Yeah, I don't really have the brain capacity to think too much about it. We're just gonna get the heating on, get the heating working, and we will see what happens. But luckily we've got access to like the spray gun thing whenever we need it really. So yeah, we'll deal with that another time. But basically the past week we have made progress with the boiler, the radiators, things like that, and the electrics. So as it stands, I think the boiler is in place, ready to go. The radiators are all in situ, so the radiators are on the wall but not like, I don't know, connected. So as you can see, I'll go around and show you the radiators. Not that it's very exciting, but I've gone with double radiators, which basically just give out the most heat pretty much everywhere. So we've got one in here, and then for 3 of the radiators I've gone for nice ones. So I've gone for a nice one in here. This is the downstairs toilet. It's very dark in here, but I've got my lovely antique brass valves. This is actually a really nice radiator. I decided to go for a dark one in here because I think I'm going to be doing dark like half paneling. And then in the big open plan room, we needed to obviously get as much heat in here as possible. So we've basically got one radiator here. Again, I've gone with a nice one, nice valves, because this is going to be on shore. And same with this one over here. So this one is a little bit smaller because our kitchen will sort of start from here and go down there. So yeah, I've just gone with nice ones there, and then we've also got one here. This one I just went with a single radiator because they are quite a bit skinnier than the double ones, and basically this is going to be sat behind a sofa eventually, so I wanted it sort of hidden basically, but I need the sofa to push as far back to the wall as possible because we don't have a massive amount of space here to fit like the sofa, the coffee table, and then I've got 2 accent chairs to go opposite. So yeah, I just went with a single one there. And we also put some pipes over here in case that isn't enough heat. We have got the option of doing a plinth heater under here if we need it, but we probably won't, to be honest. Obviously, in the future, we are going to have a log burner in this area as well, so it should hopefully be lovely and warm in here. But yeah, everywhere else has just got the sort of basic double radiators and basic valves, because a lot of the radiators I'm hoping will be covered. Like this one, for example, I will probably have a radiator cover here, and a lot of the other ones are covered by furniture. So yeah, that's where we're at with the radiators. This is the boiler in place. Oh god, look at all of that dust, I think it is down there. But yeah, boiler is in. Louis has connected all of this up to the electric, so once the radiators are all like connected up and filled with water and everything, which I think should be happening tomorrow, the plumber is coming back to finish off, so potentially from tomorrow we might have heating and like hot water and everything, which is really exciting. So yeah, that is the boiler situation. Louis has been here very late, working lots of hours, getting all of the electrics basically connected up to the board. The one thing that he does need to do is we basically need to cut out all of the holes for our spotlights and fit the spotlights and any other lights. Basically, we've got like a pendant light, we've got pendant lights for over where the island will be. So Louis did a whole plan of where all of the cables are, so fingers crossed he should know pretty much exactly where he needs to like cut the holes out. But yeah, I think that's sort of the last thing possibly that we need to do in terms of the electrics and us obviously having like lights and stuff. Same with the plug sockets, because we're still running off old plug sockets, so once we're fully ready, I'm guessing Louis will just sort of like disconnect all of the old stuff, connect up all of the new sockets and everything, and all of like these sockets everywhere. All of these are all still covered with masking tape, but hopefully that then will mean that it's all live and we can start using all of the new sockets and things, which is amazing. And Louis isn't actually a like domestic electrician. He's never done anything like this, so this is the first house he's done, it's the first board he's ever done, so fingers crossed it all works. But if it does, then he's done a very good job. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the update of where we're at. Like I said, the past week's just been a little bit like a little bit of a struggle. Like more me, like mentally, I think I'm just, I don't know, struggling. But yeah, things are happening, things are going well. We did have a little issue with the floor. I don't know whether I showed you, where it was sort of like all crumbling away, so our builder did come back, redid that bit, and he put another bit down here as well, because I think there was a little crack down here. But hopefully this next week, it's Sunday, so next week should be a very, very productive one. Louis is off for, I think he's off for over a week, and basically everything is getting done in that week. Fingers crossed. I'm praying that everything goes to plan, because I just don't think that I can take any more like setbacks or anything. So the plan for the next week is for Louis to finish all of the electrics, the plumbing to be finished hopefully tomorrow, all being well, and then all of our flooring, which is piled up here, is being laid. So Louis is laying the flooring. We're also getting the bathroom tiled as well. That might be happening tomorrow possibly. But yeah, basically I think this next week is just getting everything, as much as we possibly can, done, ready for us to move back in. So potentially, I mean, I've been saying for the past like couple of months probably that as soon as we have heating and hot water, I don't care what the state of the house is, I'm moving back in. We'll see how that goes, because we still don't have a bed or anything set up, but hopefully this is all things that will obviously get done over the next week. So obviously I'll take you along this next week with us like getting ready to move back in. Basically I'll start that in a new video though, and it'll probably be Louis. I might just hand the camera over to Louis because I'm still at work next week, so I won't be around all the time to see what's happening. So yeah, the next video might be handed over to Louis, which will be very fun, I'm sure. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end this one here. Probably just pick you straight back up and start the next one. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.